Well, welcome to the High Voltage Live podcast. Not sure where Bill is. I think he just popped in, but he was running a little bit late today. And I
What's
was
going
like,
on?
the hell with him. I'm getting this thing started. He can't
Did I
make it on time. The hell with him.
did I miss the new intro?
You missed the new intro. It's all your fault.
Oh,
You sent the audio and everything, and I just had to take over and do my thing.
oh
So,
man. No, that's cool. It's good that you jumped in and did it. And oh, dude, Daniel's trying to get some revenge, man.
he's
Uh,
always
oh, oh,
trying.
oh, he wants to do his Willie Quiz champ victory dance tonight.
Oh, I got your audio uploaded, so whenever you want to jam on that, I've got it ready for you.
Um,
And you know
I
what's interesting? Like,
I think it's better if I surprise you with it, but I don't think you listened to it.
no, I just made sure it was working.
Okay,
It
that's
was
cool.
interesting because if you send me just that file, they've sort of set it up a little bit different. As we've been doing this for what, 4 or 5 years now, whatever we've been doing it,
Hmm.
um, they've added some new functions, and now I can put it into the background music as just an audio file, and I can play it there, and I can pause it as we go instead of having to put it in like a intro, you know, thing that I was doing before. So now we can just play it right on here with no problem. And
Okay, cool.
good
Yeah,
feature.
that's awesome. Yeah, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, hit that like button, and subscribe. Appreciate everyone joining us. That's really awesome. I think you'll find that audio really interesting. And we can roll it whenever. Do you want to do the meme first?
Yeah, let me go ahead and roll the meme out. Get it here. Here we go.
Dude, that is so true. I always end up barbecuing on Father's Day, man. That's funny.
It is true, though. Uh, you have to take and do all it. But I didn't do it this last weekend because everybody was busy with other things. So they're coming over this weekend. Uh, Sunday, we're gonna go see Masters of the Universe. So
Nice.
by the power of Gray Skull,
Yeah, it really looks like really well done. As far as the cinematonics and everything like that. And make sure you guys hit that link. That's the link to James's online education. And like I say, I just want you to be ready for when somebody has something better to compare to, because it could come. Like you never know. Like they might have something better to compare to in the near future. I just don't want you to be catch you by surprise. Because
oh, I think they will. After I'm dead and gone.
it really seems like that's like the trend. What happened, with like Mike Holt, seemed like your dad was really iconic, and then when your dad kind of got out of the scene a little bit, then there went Mike Holt. Like right
Oh,
around the
Mike
late
was
'80s.
never on the same level with Dad.
Oh no,
You
I
know,
agree.
yeah, Dad. I mean, the things that he did, and being on all the different committees and chairing uh, panels. Mike never did any of that. And, Dad was on the UL electrical board. I mean, he's been on all kinds. He's been a special expert for OSHA. I mean, the things that he did, trust me, Mike's never done anywhere close to that kind of stuff.
True. Yeah. So the audio that we have is actually Thomas Dimitrovich, and he's actually trying to make the argument of why, because he actually says live, he says something about 422.5c,
Mhm.
and I was like, wow, those tables don't align with 210.8d, and so he tried to explain it. Let's see if he does a good job explaining it, and maybe he might convince you. He might. You never
Got
know.
it. Okay, let's cue it. Just
All
if you
right.
want me to stop, just tell me. I got the pause
Okay.
here.
I know how it works.
In my opinion, Steve, and you know how much my opinion is worth? Probably nothing. Yes, Willie, appliances. It is appliance. Wow, that list doesn't align with 210.8d. No, it doesn't. But remember, 210.8d is only using the appliances to identify the branch circuits upon which they want GFCI. So in
Okay, so I want to stop right there. So this is interesting because they're saying that 422.5c only identifies the branch circuits that they want GFCI protection on, but then 210.8 D is actually identifying the branch circuit. They don't have to identify the appliance. But to me, I don't see how that's enforceable when you sit there and say, why is there GFCI in this microwave? It's like, well, that appliance branch circuit isn't required to be GFCI protected. They just said it. Tommy D just said it right there. That's 422.5c is identifying the appliance branch circuit that they want GFCI on, and there's no microwaves in there. So, I think that's interesting.
I've got one comment on this, and I would have brought this up if I'd have been listening to it. But when you go over and look at 422.5, and you're looking at what's listed over there, and they're talking about providing Class A protection for personnel, and they list all them items. What makes it different in 210.8D from protecting the branch circuit or the equipment? What's the difference? I want to know what the difference is.
Well, yeah, and he actually goes into that saying that you're not protecting the appliance, you're protecting the branch circuit from personnel.
You're doing the same thing when you look at 422.5A.
True.
What's the difference? I mean, I don't understand, because if you go over and you look at 422.5A, all these items, there's only one in there that they talk about where it's cord and plug connected, and that's a high pressure spray washing machine, where they're spraying everything.
Yeah, pressure washer.
That's the only one that they talk about for cord and plug connected. All the rest could be hardwired. So what's the difference? You're still protecting the branch circuit. So what's the difference?
Yeah, and what's interesting too is I actually submitted a public input for 210.8D to delete branch circuit and just say GFCI protection provided at outlet. There's no reason to say branch circuit or outlet.
Yeah, what's the difference? Since there's an outlet there anyway.
Yeah, and they rejected it and said that it would add confusion.
Why would it add confusion? Because it's an out. There's an outlet anyway.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't get why now you're basically bringing it up that with just what we've been saying this whole time. There's branch circuits that connect to outlets, and there's branch circuits that connect directly to the utilization equipment. If it connects directly to that sump pump, and you got to have GFCI protection, you put it at the panel. You put it at the breaker. That protects that branch circuit. You have a cord and plug connected. You have an outlet there. You can put a GFCI protected. You could GFCI protect it at the outlet. You could protect it at the branch circuit or the outlet, whichever you need to do. And that's what we've been saying this whole time.
So I have my question will be on this. Well, I guess we'll just listen to see if he explains the difference between the two, because I don't see a difference. So let's play it.
It shouldn't align. It may not, it probably won't align. That's my opinion. Because just like we use receptacles to identify what branch circuits should be required to have GFCIs, and we have rooms which are used to identify which branch circuit should have GFCIs and AFCIs. We do the same thing with appliances. A branch circuit that serves as an appliance, that is not a requirement for a GFCI on the appliance. And GFCI does not protect an appliance. I have in GFCI requirements in 210.8a, it's receptacle outlets. That doesn't mean the GFCI is there to protect the receptacle outlet. The GFCI is being identified as being required for that branch circuit because it serves a receptacle outlet that might be in a specific location. Doesn't mean it's there to protect the receptacle outlet. The receptacle outlet's not the hazard. So the same thing with the appliances in 210.8d. I'm using the appliance to identify the branch circuit. And it's not there to protect the appliance. It's there to protect personnel. Anyway, I diverge, but thanks for the comment.
Yeah, and so my one argument with that is that all of a sudden he's saying the hazard isn't the receptacle outlet. Well, what are you saying 210.8f is protecting if you're saying the hazard's not at the outlet?
Yeah. You can't have your candy and eat it too. I mean,
yeah.
That's why I want an explanation. What is the difference? Why are the appliance people saying no, no, no? You know, I would have taken a step further. I would have asked him, I'd say, you know, how did those items get back into 10.8D when in the second draft that was voted out?
Yeah.
How did it go back in? Explain that to me, Tommy.
Yeah. And you know, I really try to be respectful when I'm on other people's show and stuff, and I try not to turn it into a big like, hey, check it out, squirrel, you know, and just make it like this big argument, you know. But I just thought it was interesting to just come up with that. You could tell he's just kind of talking in circles. Just kind of like, well, the appliance identifies the branch circuit doesn't identify the appliance, and there's no hazard at the receptacle outlet in 210.8a, and to me, if there's no hazard at 210.8a, then they should just delete 210.8f, because there's just always an outlet floating there that's supposedly this danger to, you know, personnel, and I've always disagreed with that, and we'll see. I mean, I submitted one for 2029, tied it in pretty good with that 625.54b being deleted, and tried to say, hey, so you guys are going to say there's no outlet over here, and that's why you deleted that, put it back to just only receptacles. So how can you continue forward with this outlet that's supposedly installed when the equipment's installed? And I just don't agree with that whole premise. But you know,
no, they're trying. I mean, just listening to them there, and anybody can listen to it. We just played it. Did he make any sense? No,
I mean,
it made no sense at all. He goes, I diverge. You know, that's my opinion. Well, it's your opinion because you can't pinpoint it in the code why that is that way. And what y'all did, you're on code making panel 2. You should be able to explain it. You can't even explain it.
Yeah, I just think that they decided to just put it in anyway. I don't know. I mean, it was pretty interesting, but what's up? Welcome in. Welcome to the show. So, yeah, howdy.
Some stranger.
Yeah, but yeah, you know, to me, it's interesting. I just wanted you to hear it so you could kind of hear where we thought that there was like a mistake in the code. So if you guys go look, and 210.8d and 422.5c, there's two tables for specific appliances that require GFCI protection. You will never see me argue on this show why sump pumps, hardwired, cord plug connected, anything require GFCI protection. I'll never argue about that. I've had times before where I've been elbow deep in my sump pump trying to check the pump, and if something goes wrong with that, I want that GFCI to operate. You know, I've never had an argument with that. I don't have an argument with dryers. I don't think dryers should have been removed. I think dryers is probably one of the specific appliances that should be GFCI protected. But then all of a sudden they're going to throw back in cooktops, ranges, microwave ovens. And when you go look at they use the consumer safety data reports to justify microwaves. And then I kind of did some investigation into it to see what that was. And it was because homeowners sometimes work on their microwave while energized. And that was the reason for the deaths. And it's like, how can you put that into a code? You know, how can you put that into like, okay, now all microwaves need GFCI protection, because then what happens? It goes through the same cycle again. The microwave trips, it doesn't work, and they're already trying to work on it while energized. You think they're going to use a Class A device? You know, I mean, to me, it's like they've already defeated all of these safety protocols to open the microwave up and work on it while energized. All these UL safety protocols, they've already defeated those. What makes you think they're going to use a Class A device?
You know? It's like the old saying, you can't fix stupid. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the people that were getting shocked and everything back in the day when you had the old tube TVs and they go in and those be energized, replacing those tubes and stuff. It's the same thing. Yeah. Homeowners are going to do what they want to do. You can't fix, things that they're going to work on energized. They just do it. I mean, they'll change a lighting fixture with it energized.
Right.
And not even know what they're doing.
Yeah. And big shout out to all the people over there on Rumble. Thanks so much for putting up that Rumble feed. Looks like we got a few over there on Rumble. So keep cranking it up over there on Rumble. And it's a lot of fun doing this. I don't know how my thing's working over here.
Where's the myth of the week?
I don't even know if it's even working, but
it worked. Well, Mike, it's right now. Just listen, Mike, and you'll hear the intro, and we're about to explain it for you. Here we go.
Nice.
It's time for Myth of the Week.
So a lot of times when I get these Myth of the Weeks that are really interesting, I have a fun time doing them and getting them put together. And this one was, I was doing some demo and I just was like, man, how did somebody think this was good? Like, to me, there's a big difference between taking pride in your work and the actual code. I don't know if you could see that, but like kind of on the left there, they actually poked a little hole through the CMU wall. And so they come through a wire mold there, just do the little sneaker behind the device plate, and then they just sneak through the CMU wall. To me, honestly, the biggest problem with that is you're going to have a lot of chances to get ground faults in that circuit. I wouldn't be trusting that. I mean, regardless of what the code says, but it kind of brought up an interesting point. And it's funny because somebody asked like, oh man, is that ceiling 8 foot high? Cause that might be a code violation that it's the device is too high. It's like, oh no, that ceiling's 10 foot. These things were way too high. I mean, I think they were close to like 9 foot. So they were way too high. And what's interesting, and this is so funny, we kind of sound like this broken record. A lot of people get irritated of a lot of the guys in the post. I really want to say thanks so much for all the participation. I had like so much good participation. I really meant a lot. And there was so many good comments. And some of the comments were like, well, if it's mounted too high, then that's a violation of the manufacturer instructions. Absolutely correct. When you go look at NFPA 72, it's a standard for fire alarm signaling. It'll tell you, it won't tell you, it'll give you the heights. It'll say 84, anywhere from 84 to 96 is your mounting heights. But if you go above that, where's the violation from NFPA 72? It says refer to the manufacturer instructions. They might make some strobe devices that are designed to be mounted higher than 96, but it'll tell you on the manufacturer instructions, it'll say this strobe device is designed to be mounted above the requirements in the code. And that specifically overrules anything the code says. So I think that's interesting, because where are they getting that code language from? They're getting it from the manufacturer instructions. So we kind of sound like a broken record when we go off this manufacturer instructions thing. But in all actuality, I'd beg to, say that this device is designed to be mounted to a box. I don't really see this device being listed to just mount straight to the wall without a wire pathway going into it, And so I would say this is a code violation in this case. But some of the comments that I had in there, and thanks so much for the comments and electrical code discussion for awesome electricians. We had a lot of comments where people were coming up with like smoke detectors that didn't require a box. And a lot of times they do have devices that actually have the back box. I know there's certain kinds of exterior horn strobes that don't require a box, because the whole thing is a box. You pipe into the actual device itself. It's all one piece. And so it comes complete as an assembly. But this just brings up a lot of stuff. And it was funny because talking with you about it, I don't think you really saw this picture yet. And I think you would kind of frown on this if I don't think that you'd be installing anything like this. But I don't know that you could just make that border plate myth and say that all fire alarm devices require to be installed in a listed box. So a lot of people made that comment that it had to be a listed enclosure. And to me, I know that there's a lot of reference that any kind of fire alarm device needs to follow like a chapter 3 wiring method. But at the same time, you would still go out to manufacturer instructions for this equipment and how to install the raceway, how to install the device, and all that. And I think this would have been just a little bit neater if you would have had like a wire mold box that brought it off a little bit and just kind of made it the wire a little bit more protected. But
well, when you brought this up to me, I was explaining a few different things as we were discussing this. And, one of the things I brought up right away, I said, you're going to go over and you're going to look at 760.4. And it was sort of funny because when he called me, I was eating dinner. I walked out to talk to him. And I said, when you get in and you start looking at these things, there were two things depending on how it was installed. So when you look at 760.4H, it talks about the installation of cables and conductors in a raceway. And it basically gets in and it talks about the number and size of cables and your conductors. Then it tells you why with the following and stuff. And I said, when you're doing that and you're installed in a raceway, then you need to look right over here. And this is where you get into 314 and you have to maintain mechanical continuity.
True. Yeah, I remember you said that, and that makes a lot of sense.
And that ties in. But when you come back here, there was another one here talking about the bushing here. And it talks about having a bushing is going to be required where you have these cables emerge from the raceway, and it's used for what? Mechanical support or protection. Okay. And
True.
that's a whole different thing. And that makes sense because when you get over here, look at exception number 1 here when it talks about short sections of raceways used to provide what? Support or protection. And how many times
Oh
you heard
my
me?
goodness, are they talk about a sleeve?
Yes. And I brought this that when Bill and I were talking about this, and I've said this many times, use the code book as a whole to tie it in with the other parts of the NEC. And if you come back here and look at this specifically ties into exactly what I was talking about.
True.
And
And
the
I
language
need to
is there.
look
It's not my opinion on this. All you have to do is look right here. It shows you.
Yeah, and I need to look up that 300.17. Is that a different standard?
No,
That
no, 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 no,
NF
no.
NFPLFA. So that's like
Non-power
non-power
limited.
limited.
Yeah,
Okay, so that cable that's in that picture would be non-power limited fire alarm cable.
yeah, and
So
see
that's
that.
governed 317C.
So,
Gotcha.
in other words, you're looking at Article 760, but it's referring you to other things to look at here.
True.
Okay, and
Which
then
you would think would be impossible from what we've been seeing.
now look at this. Then you look at 761.33, and this is where it's going to take you over to Article 722, and you'll look at parts 1 and 8, and you go in, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. That's why I didn't put everything here. But this is talking about the installations of conductors and equipment in cables and compartments. And they're telling you the same thing here, where you got your cable trays, enclosures, manholes, look there, outlet boxes, device boxes, raceways, and cable routing assemblies for power limited fire alarm circuits. It takes you over to Article 722. Now, when you get over there and you start looking at Article 722, and I'll just say this: if you look at that, what does it deal with? That's where you pick up your limited energy cables there. And that's where you have your power limited circuits, your fault managed power circuits, your optical, your communication, all that's listed right there. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
and so I was kind of telling people about this originally, and I don't know how much I beat the drum on this and got it through, but basically the code book, the way it's set up now for the 2026, there's limited energy, there's over 1,000 volts, and everything else. So this would be like a limited energy section where you'd be getting all these rules that govern that.
sure. And then when you really look at it, I mean, you can look at part 1, there's some general stuff, but really part 8's where you want to go. And when you go over to part 8, what does part 8 deal with? That's your power limited fire alarm cables and your different wiring methods. And 171 talks about using the wiring methods and materials. And then you'll have, basically, you're going to be looking at A and B. And when you look at A, that's where it talks about your power limited fire alarm circuits there, the wiring methods and materials. And then it starts giving you different stuff there. Like if you have raceways where they're exposed on your ceilings or sidewalls, or they're fished in concealed spaces, it's got rules there. Where it's passing through a floor or wall, you got your non-concealed spaces there. But all of that stuff is set right there that's giving you these rules and these requirements, how far above the floor level and all that information's right there. And then when you go down and you pick up B, that's where you pick up your fire alarm cables and conductors, and talking about, the conductors, they have to be solid or stranded conductor, copper. Then you pick up your sizes. It can't be smaller than number 18. If it's a multi-conductor cable, it can't be smaller than 26. And that was a question you actually asked me on where I versus AI. That was in there. But you go in, and then it also talks about the support of the conductors. conductors. And,
Yeah.
you know, and it tells you that when you have those power limited fire alarm circuit conductors, you're not allowed to strap those, tape them, or attach them by any means to the exterior of any conduit or other raceway as a means of
True.
support. So
Yeah,
you come
I
in
agree
and
with
you
that.
start looking at this stuff here. This is where you're picking up the main information in the rules in 722, 171. But in order to get to that point, 761.33 is what sends you over there. And then you've got your other rules that are set in place right here, where we get in and it talks about the installation and where you get into the mechanical continuity and stuff of the system. And then if you take and have, you're providing any type of protection or support, then you could have short sections here. And and if you're just doing that, then they're not mechanically continuous. They're in free air at that point.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't really see, like when you look at like that exception to raceways and cables installed into the bottom.
Oh, well, that's for
Open
switchboard
equipment.
and stuff. That's just an extra one
Yeah.
that was in there. The one I was
Yeah, but
on
I don't really, I'm just, a lot of people in the comments said that there was like a lot of exceptions. And I was just kind of ruling out that one. But the thing is that I just don't really see there being a lot of exceptions in this. I really feel like if there's a situation where the equipment says you can install it without a box, I think it's fine. You know,
Can
as
I
long as you're
comment on
using.
that? There, first of all, you're correct. When you look at this and it refers you over to Part 8 and Article 722, and you go over there and you start looking at all those requirements, there's not one exception in any of that. These are
Right.
the rules you're going to follow. And the only way that you would be able to not do something that is listed there is if it came from the manufacturer and it was in their instructions in the listing and labeling. Otherwise,
Sure.
those are the rules you're going to follow in order for providing protection for that fire alarm cable.
And you're going to be using a bushing from the raceway when you're exiting the raceway. You're going to be, supporting it in a approved manner. You're going to be entering the device with an approved manner. All that stuff's going to comply with the code.
That's right.
So,
and that's why we
it's-
do this. We like to have these myth of the week is to go through and show you and using the code book as a whole and showing you the direct relationship and what they're explaining. And this is where you start and this is where you finish.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this kind of evolved a little bit, but by us kind of getting attacked on social media because, guys say, no, it says this right here. And that means that you have to just go off that. And it's like, dude, you have to look at other sections. You can't just look up that one thing that it says in one. And a lot of times the way the code is worded, it's actually layered. So if it's telling you if it refers you to another section, go look at that section. Don't just sit there and keep reading and say, nope, you can't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to go look at that section that it refers you to, because that's going to supplement or modify whatever the next part of that sentence is going to be. Right. A lot of guys out there, I'm not going to mention names, they use the code as like an installation manual, and they're sitting in an office and they don't realize that just sitting in this office reading this book doesn't mean you can go out there and install this stuff and be code compliant. And I think that's the whole reason I wanted to do the Myth of the Week, because I'm actually out there in the field and I'm actually seeing this firsthand, what we're running into, and I'm able to convey it to the people listening to the show, and in from the manner of like, if you guys are out there seeing this, you're gonna see it on the show and you're gonna be like, yeah, you can't do that. Or you know what, maybe you can, but you just have to follow these rules, and we're gonna put all those rules up there so that you can go back and reference those and go, well, yeah, you can do that if you do it this way. To me, honestly, what I ran into the most is you're going to be running in through hoops and ladders, and it's almost better to just go a little bit extra step and just, put it all, just say, you know what, we're just, anything fire alarm, we're just going to put in an enclosure. We're not going to try to skirt anything. We're not going to try to use any exceptions. And kind of like what you said, that a lot of places, there is no exceptions. And so a lot of people say, oh, well, there's a lot of exceptions to that. And it's like, really, is there?
No, there's not.
And
And
it's just really interesting.
You can go look at it and verify. Go look at 722.171 A and B, see if there's any exceptions.
Right. Yeah. Honestly, yeah. And that was really well put together. I appreciate you doing that. Anytime I talk to people, they're like, well, I would think it would need to be in a box. And it's kind of like, maybe, and like I say, there was an example where somebody showed a I don't know if it was a smoke detector or smoke alarm. See, we ran into that before, and I've tried to explain it on this show before, is when you're in like a residential and you have like a 120 volt, that is a single station smoke alarm. And then when you're in commercial and you have, that is a smoke detector that goes to a fire alarm system. So there's two different things that you have to kind of keep in mind. But I don't remember exactly what he showed, but I believe it was a smoke detector that goes with like a fire alarm system, and it's not required to be in a box. So if that's the case, you could just mount that directly to the ceiling tile, and who knows, it probably has some, I would say some kind of wire routing that comes included with it, to where it's not just a device, kind of like that picture where it's just this device mounted to the wall, because you don't have any room for wire bending space. You don't have any room for the conductor to enter that device. You don't have any room for that conductor to exit. And like I say, going through that CMU wall like that, I thought was like really dangerous. Like just from a troubleshooting standpoint, like if they got it to work, right on. But it's just, there's so many things that could go wrong when you have that conductors going through that CMU, that rough CMU, and you have that device with such low clearance with those wires. I mean, I would have bet that it took them forever to troubleshoot that and get it working. Probably had to pull down those devices at least 3-4 times. So pretty interesting, but
right.
yeah, no, pretty awesome. Thanks so much for putting together. And the myth is busted. Like, in all genuality, I would say the large majority have to be in an enclosure. I'd say there is possibly some ways that you could not have them in an enclosure, but I would say the vast majority would have to be mounted to an enclosure, especially if you're going off those manufacturer instructions.
Well, everybody give Bill a hand for allowing me to do topic of the week this week.
Oh yeah, there we go. I didn't get too long on any of them.
All right, let's roll it. Finally doing it. All right.
There you go. Maybe you won't dock my pay as much for being late.
Well, finally, we're getting to do part 14. And one of the things I think y'all like about things that we did in this particular one is we're going to run through, because we're going to see a lot about reconditioned equipment, listing and labeling. But one of the things that we tried to do is actually, I went over and I found everything for the different type of wiring methods and the colors and exactly what you would see if you were out in the field. So this one is going to deal with your non-metallic underground conduit with conductors. They call it NUCC. And when you get over there and you look at, basically just look at it this way, you can never recondition it. Okay. And they've got 354.3A where it says permitted to be installed. It's reserved. Nothing's in there. And then it says not permitted to be installed, which is, of course, the NUCC itself and any associated fittings. So they still got the exact same rules there. But what we tried to do is when you look at it, we have taken and drew the conduits and everything out to where sort of what it would look like out in the field, you know, the color scheme and everything. And then when you get over here and you look at 355 and you pick this one up, this one's going to deal with your reinforced thermal setting resin conduit, the RTRC they call it. And if you look at that type, it's going to be a red type conduit.
Okay.
Okay. So we did a few little elbows and everything there for you to look at.
Yeah, I don't know if I really seen that. Are you sure it's not orange?
No, it's red, the one that I found.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna have to look that up because I don't think I've ever seen that stuff.
They may have one in orange, but I'm telling you, the one we found, and I was looking it up and everything, it was in red. So we did everything in red, so you would have an idea of what it looks like when you get out in the field, and you're going to get the exact same requirements there. Any of your conduit, the factory elbows, associated fitting, basically, it cannot be reconditioned. And then, of course, they've got A there where it's permitted to be installed. It's in the reserved category, just like the NUCC conduit. Okay.
All right.
And then this is 356.3A and B, and this is also where you're getting into the flexible non-metallic conduit, and you've got exactly the same thing. You're going to look at 356.3A and B, and when you pick that up, it's just the exact same thing. If you have any of the conduit associated fittings, can't recondition them, and then they've got permitted to be installed, still in the reserved category. Nothing's listed that you can change here to recondition it or anything. So basically, the last three you're going to have to use new. You can't recondition anything. Okay.
Yeah, and we all know you can't recondition outlets either.
Yeah, and the thing that's been interesting about it that has got me a little bit is that they've come into all these wiring methods now, and they're doing exactly the same thing. They're putting all these recondition rules, everything in, listing and labeling. I mean, you just go over everything, and they're basically just telling you, nope, can't do this, can't do that. And we got rules in place now. So when you look at your electrical non-metallic tubing, you got the exact same thing that's there. They've got the reserved still set in for reconditioned equipment with nothing. And then if you got electrical metallic tubing and its associated fittings, none of it can be reconditioned. And you'll see we drew the conduits, the color that you're going to see in the field and what they look like. So we tried to make absolutely sure that everything we're doing up to this point, it's in the highest level that we can do it.
Was that last one blue? So that'd be Smurf tube?
Yep. That's exactly the way we got it.
So what I'd have to do now is I have to do like my Manver's machine, and I have to try to see if you could figure out where Smurf tube would move in the 2029, what chapter. That's a pretty good one.
Oh, you're talking about where it's going to move and if they redo the layout of the 2029?
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be interesting to see where everything's going.
I believe it would be. I believe it would be chapter 8.
I haven't even, honestly, I hadn't even got into it yet. I'm waiting to see if they do it, then we'll have to go back and change everything. So I'll
Yeah.
say this, well, let me rephrase that. A lot of the publications out there, they're not going to have to do a lot because they'll just, keep it as is. We do a lot of reference with call outs, and we do a lot of code loops and everything. And we're going to have to go back. Basically, it's going to be like doing all brand new publications for 2029. And
Yeah.
we're going to be working our ass off to get it all done, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the thing I do like about how you guys set your thing up is you don't really have to change you wouldn't have to change the actual like what it says. Like all your stuff is pretty resilient for changes, but it's the sections and everything that would have to change and all that. References to your code loops and stuff would all have to change. That'd be a nightmare.
yeah, well, one of the good things I like about the way we've got everything, it's a lot of section changes and everything, and there might be a little bit of layout that we may have to do a little bit different, but the way I design everything, it's made to put it in a flow that's much easier. And we don't do like little cut paces and stuff like a lot of the other publications. They use an auto flow, and that's going to cause them some problems. I got away from that because I like to be able to insert a page and then adjust as I need to. And usually you're only doing that within one chapter. It may be another chapter, but you can take at the end and you're either adding a page or taking a page away. So, it ends up flowing, but still this
Right.
next cycle is going to be hell if they change all that.
It's
All
gonna
right.
be interesting. I think there's gonna be some like actual dogfighting. Like I think there's gonna be. I mean, there was some pretty big dogfighting with just my one change. 11 certified amending motions off me adding one word.
Well, I think it's going to be pretty interesting because I'm sort of the feeling NFPA is going to be looking at it, seeing what impact it has on people adopting it. Because some may be upset adopting something that they're having to change all their documentation that they have in house because of all the sections changing. So it's a big impact on the industry if they do it.
Well, I think it's even going to impact them when you have like programs like Cassie and stuff. Like when you have like even their own programs will be kind of freaking out.
It depends. What I've learned about AI is when you're putting something in, you have to make sure you're giving detailed information and explaining which code cycle it comes from and what that year is. I mean, you literally got to tell it and then let it capture that. You just can't go in and just put a whole code book in and say they'll start having problems because it starts reading similar language. You literally have to do it by section and tell it this is for this, blah, blah, blah. This is different from previous NEC versions, and then explain, tell which versions it's different from. It's sort of like a catalog system you got to do.
That is a good point that you can. It's not necessarily just gonna freak out because I say it's gonna freak out, but if you try to just say all we're gonna do is plug in a new code book and then you're gonna have an AI model like learn it, I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, the way I look at AI is you have to teach it. So to give you an idea, like if I took a section in the code and I said, okay, this is what the 2026 National Electrical Code states for section blah, blah, blah. Boom, put it in. Then I would say, this section is different from the 2023, 2020, 2017, 2014, 2011 versions. Just tell it that. And then I would come in, I'd say, this is what it said during this version. This is what it said. I would put all them versions in. I probably wouldn't go back at, or I'd probably go back to like the 2020 or 2017, and I would put in what it says there. I would teach it the difference for each section. And then I would come in from like, say it was our publication, I'd say, this is a write-up of what we put in. And then I'd have, say it's a calculation, I'd show it step-by-step calculation, how it was calculated for each one where the changes come in. That's how you teach AI, I think.
True. Yeah, no, I agree. Sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry to interrupt your topic of the week.
Oh, no worries.
I kind of think that that's a good thing to kind of bring up, because it was weird. We did one a few weeks ago on the switch height, and it's based off NXJ for ADA, for American Disabilities Act, and they don't even have that in the 2026. It got deleted, but then they don't have Annex J, but then they have Annex L that is the whole layout for the 2029. And you can go back and look. Me and Daniel did a pretty good podcast when King James was out, kind of going through where the stuff would lay out. And
sure.
So,
all right, this in here is 366. Of course, that deals with auxiliary gutters, and it's the same thing. You're going to look over, they got the reserve section, permitted to be installed, nothing's there. If it's an auxiliary gutter or the associated fittings with the auxiliary gutter, none of that is permitted to be reconditioned. Okay, so
yeah.
As you can see, we're just covering exactly the same things. It's just the different type of equipment. And then when you get to Article 368 and you're looking at 3A and B, that's going to deal with the reconditioned equipment also. And when I look at 368, what does that deal with? That's your busways.
Yeah, I was going to say that looks like busways.
Yeah, and they list two types of busways that you have. You have the Mylar wrap busways and the powder coated busways, and they tell you they're never permitted to be reconditioned. And of course, you got what is permitted to be installed is a reserve section. So basically, nothing's allowed to be reconditioned. All right.
Yeah, I think what happened was Willie Jackerson got like his backyard garage raided possibly, and they started finding out all the stuff he was building out there, and you just got to go through and say it all,
But see, I mean, just look at that illustration. I guarantee you, go look at their publication. You're not going to see illustrations like that that show you where the busway's going across, how they're installed. We even show you the connection points there where they're connecting, and that's the way it looks when you look at it.
And a lot of people will be like, well, that looks like an irregular support interval, but actually that's actually based on the manufacturer instructions of installation.
That is correct. And what we did, we just made sure to show where when I really look at busway, because I've installed busway before, usually where the supports go is right near the end where you're going to make the connections. That's usually.
I want to say that, like, if you go into busway, it'll say that every section has to have two supports.
Yeah, that's what we have.
Yeah, so
we did it on purpose that way.
100%.
All right. So then you got the reconditioned equipment when you're looking at Article 370. And what does 370 deal with? That's your cable bus. And when you get into bus.
Is that cable bus?
Yeah, cable bus.
Wow.
And look.
I was going to say, that's a nice looking waterfall they got there.
Well, one of the things that we try to do, this is typical what you would see a cable bus look like where it's coming into the building here. And what we did, we did a view of it. What does the interior of it look like? And so what we did is a front view here to show you how that cable bus looks and how it connects. And, it actually took me, I actually had to look to find an illustration so I could see just exactly the interior. I had an idea, but this is mainly what it looks like, the majority of them. But, uh, when we were looking at it, I was telling Dad, I said, well, when I really look at the cable bus, I see it coming from a transformer is usually where it's coming from. And he goes, yeah, you're right. He goes, let's go ahead and set it up. He goes, won't you set it up where it's got the stands and comes over into a building wall over here? He goes, because that's usually the way you'll see it. And I said, okay, I'll set it up that way. So we put one together like this, and it's the same rules for reconditioned equipment. If you, any cable bus or its associated fittings can't be reconditioned. And then, of course, they've got the reserved one there that basically nothing can be reconditioned. All right.
Yeah, and so a lot of the reason they use that cable bus is because it has such a low impedance, and it's a lot less. There's a lot less loss in delivery from point A to point B. So a lot of people ask me, like, why do you show all these different things? And it's just because there's so much difference in what your delivery is. And if you're losing voltage and you're losing, you have a high resistance, and you have like a higher impedance, then you're going to have a lot higher losses and you're not going to deliver that power as efficiently.
Sure. And this is good in here. I have never dealt with cellular concrete floor raceways. I've never installed one, never dealt with them. But basically what they are, they set down on top of the flooring area there, and then they pour the concrete on top of it. And then they use that and they fish through these cellular raceways that were already built, and they pull their wires and stuff through that. Have you ever seen one of those? I've never seen
Nah,
one.
I couldn't say I have. Like, I made my own cellular raceway.
Yeah. Well, when I saw it, I drew it exactly the way it showed. I found an installation of one, and I was looking at it. I was like, well, that's interesting. I'd never seen that before. And but the same rules are there that if it's a cellular concrete metal raceway or associated fittings, they can't be reconditioned. And they still have their, the reserved one, which, they don't allow anything to be done. But look at this one. This next one was an interesting one because this in here is 374. And I had to go look at this one because it's similar to the cellular concrete floor raceways, but this is just a metal floor raceway. It's called cellular metal floor. And you can actually go over and look, I think NFPA Link, they actually had pictures of it. And when I was looking at it, I actually found it online, and it has it where it's set up. You got like little boxes you can set up on top and everything, but basically it just sets down on the floor, and you've got this raceway that's there. And then I think from what I could tell, it looks like there's tiles and stuff that are put on top of it, and then they're removed so you have access to it. But I had never seen this either.
I actually think that now that you're talking about this, that I've actually seen this at like a hotel where they have like those what you're seeing as those what's on top of it are actually like masonry blocks, and they'll like put them in like pools and stuff. And like
no. These didn't have like concrete. It was like a tile that was on top. It had a carpet on top.
Yeah, and I've seen them that way, but I'm actually seeing this kind of setup where the tile is actually a masonry block, like a paver, and then you have to like pull that paver out to get to your J box.
Well, one of the things what I saw when I was looking at it, now when you look at these things, they have different types of like dimensions. So you could have one that's like 3-4 inches high. Then you could have another one that's like 1 inch high. Now, the 1 inch one high, they actually have like a little box that fits down in between the two bigger cellular raceways. And then it has like it sets down in there. It's got like it's almost like a half V that goes up and then it comes back in, and it sort of has like a little octagon shape a little bit. And then on top, there's like a little box that sets up above it. And that's how you get access down to the smaller raceway and make your connections and stuff. And I was looking at that. I thought that, see, if you're looking at the illustration, see that little on the right side front view, we show that orange there. That's what the box looks like. It sets down, and that's a smaller raceway there. And then you've got this top up here that sets down. You pull it off, and then you have access to that box down there.
I got you. So it's not penetrating that cellular surface.
That's right. I mean, it was really interesting when I looked at it. And then it's got like these little clips that fit down on top here, and you'll sort of see where it fits, and you have access to everything. So if you want to set anything down in there to have access to something, that's how you get to it. And I thought it was really interesting because I'd never seen it before. So I drew the picture the way that it was showing on there, and I was doing a little reading about it, and I was like, okay, well, now I know what it is, because I did not know what it was at first, because I've never, and I'll tell people if I hadn't installed it, I don't know. So I had to do a little research on this, but the same rules apply. You can't recondition any of this. Okay. And then
I would be willing to guess that you'll see some of this stuff in like data centers, and that tile on top is like basically that's where you're walking on.
Yeah. That's what you walk on. That's exactly right. And I thought it was mainly for like data centers and stuff like that. Because when you went in and you looked at it and you started looking at the installations I was reading about and everything, that's what it was for.
Right. Okay? I agree.
And then you come in and you look at this metal raceways, guess what? Same rules. You can't recondition any of them. So, and that includes its associated fittings. And there's not much to see there, just like the one we did earlier for the non-metallic raceway. So that gets you through all those. Hopefully that's why I spend a lot of time on the illustrations and stuff, because you get to, we try to draw the products exactly what you're going to see in the field. And that way, when you get out there, you have a little bit of an idea, so you can always go back and research. And if you have access to our publications, since they're interactive, you can get right to it and see what that type of a wiring method is.
Yeah, that's awesome. So does that get us through chapter 3, or you still got more?
I've got a few more, and we're almost through it. So
nice.
I try to do about 10, 12 of them every time. So if I did all of chapter 3, it'd probably take about 3 hours.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what's awesome about you having that experience as the NFPA teacher, because you understand like how long all this stuff takes, and it's cool. You could get your message across, and people learn better when you kind of put it to like a short but sweet kind of thing like that. So I really appreciate it, and that's awesome. It's really cool that we're getting all this like listing and labeling in, but it's listing and labeling over here, but then over where we don't want to talk about that. But I thought that was funny. But we'll go to what, tool review?
Yep, tool review. Here we go. Tool of the week.
time for Tool Review of the Week. Sponsored by the Christian's Only Tool Review and Nipex Tradesman.
Believe it or not, I actually found this tool in the trash. We were out on an industrial site, and I found this baby sitting in the trash, brand new, never been used. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they messed up and accidentally dropped it, but it was probably the best set of drill bits I've ever used. Right away, what I noticed is anytime you're doing like when you're drilling a hole, you have to make sure you have like kind of that real smooth consistency with your trigger. Like you can't just start up as fast as your drill can go. You kind of have to like push and kind of have that nice, kind of let the drill bit kind of do the work, and kind of let it, what I call noodles, and you just kind of want to watch those noodles come out. But the thing that I really liked about these was how long, like I think there might be a couple of these bits that are dull that I'm not using anymore, but I would say the majority of them are still just as sharp as the first day I used them. So I really like this. It's supposedly like 5 times sharper than all their stuff. It's like a titanium dipped, I guess is what they're doing with this. I'm really impressed with them. What I use a lot is like those smaller ones with the 1/8 inch. And the thing that I noticed about those, because usually what I do is I'll drill a pilot, like if I'm drilling into steel, like say putting a mini on a beam and I'm using a self tapper, I'll drill first with that 1/8 inch and get that 1/8 inch in there, and then I'll kind of ream it out with that 1/8 inch a little bit, and then I'll use my self tapper. A lot of times the reason you do that is because if you can do just the straight self tapper all the way to China, but a lot of times what happens is once that self tapper starts biting, you have to kind of go back and forth a bunch of times and get that self tapper to kind of create the threads through that thick of a metal. That's another reason I like this, is because I use this for like the thicker steel, especially if you're getting into like the 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch steel. We do a lot of that in commercial and industrial. We're like, basically I try to have it set up to where I just have a machine shop that I bring everywhere, and just no matter what I need to do, I can just make it happen. And this is one of those tools that you can just make it happen. Pretty much every size drill bit, you're gonna just make stuff happen with that. And like I say, I just got lucky and just found it laying in the trash. I have no idea why somebody trashed it, but gets my review, and honestly, it's one of the best drill bit sets out there that I can say.
Is that a cobalt tip?
It could be. It could be cobalt. All I know is that they're advertising it as 5 times stronger than their strongest bit. So I wanted to say it was like titanium dipped, but it could be titanium dipped cobalt. I don't know.
Because it almost looks like a cobalt.
Yeah, it probably is. Like I say, the set that I have, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's off the charts. Like, I think my 1/8 inch bit, it throws off noodles just like it's brand new. And I've drilled hundreds of. The biggest problem that I had with the other sets is anytime you start going stronger, and maybe that could be the advantage with the cobalt, is anytime you start going stronger with the metal, it starts getting more brittle. So I would constantly break bits, and I haven't broken a single one of these bits yet. So that's one of the things that I really appreciate too, is that none of these bits are broken. So I think that something happened to one of them. Like, there's always stupid things that happen. Like you be drilling and then it like comes out of your chuck and gets stuck or falls into the metal that you're drilling or whatever. And So you don't ever have like a full set like this. So this is probably not true to my tool pouch or anything like that, but I think it's a little scattered. There's probably I have probably like the 3 large ones and like 5 of the smaller ones, but you always keep the 1/4 inch, like the 1/4 inch is still in good shape and stuff. So that's always gonna be my pilot. And then honestly, that's the thing I really like about this. I do think you're correct. I think it is a cobalt, like alloy possibly. But
What
dude, I'll tell you what, they freaking work awesome.
did you have any or check to see what the difference, if there was any big difference in the cost?
Um, yeah, that's a really good point. Because I got this set for free 99 out of the trash can. But like I think that they are gonna be probably pricey when you start getting to the better things. I have learned that it's better off to just spend the extra money if you want that longevity. Um, do not save money on drill bits, especially if you're in commercial industrial. If you're like me and you drill a lot of holes, you'll go through, like I say, these last at least 5 times longer than all the rest of them.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering, because usually when you pay for what you get, you know what I mean? And that's
Yeah,
why I was
100%.
curious what the difference was.
They're gonna be a little bit more spendy. That's why you don't. A lot of times when you get to DeWalt and Milwaukee, when they sell these kind of sets, they're gonna be pretty competitive. And the one thing you're gonna notice, you're just not gonna get as many drill bits. So you might be able to get a similar cost set that has double the amount of drill bits, but
Mhm.
they're gonna last you 5 times less. And like I say, anytime I'm a nerd when it comes to drilling stuff. I'll tell you this funny story. One time, me and Lemonhead were out in the patch, and I started drilling this peckerhead, and we had to bring in like a number 6 ground, and we had to put a CGB in there.
Mhm.
And I started drilling it, and I got the pilot through, and I didn't realize, but I was going through like the explosion proof section,
Mhm.
and there was a like the not all the metals in there were the same thickness. Um, and so you always have to identify it, even though it's an explosion proof enclosure. I don't know exactly if they say a lot of the gases come from the bottom or whatever, and then not so many of the gases come from the side. So like a lot of times what you'll notice is that peckerhead will be a lot thinner metal on the sides than it is on the bottom. And so you always have to verify that. And I didn't. And I started drilling it and I got the pilot through. And then Lemonhead noticed. He's like, oh, you went through the thick section. And I was like, oh, man. So now once I got a pilot through there in explosion proof enclosure, now I got to run it all the way to a 3/4 all the way through.
Mhm.
And, or not 3/4, it would be 1 1/8. But I had to run an 1 1/8 carbide all the way through that peckerhead. And man, it damn near smoked my drill. I mean, I did it. I got it through. But man, it was a lesson to me to like check before I start drilling, because the minute I got that pilot bit through, I was so proud. I took like that 1/4 inch off one of these cobalt 1/4 inch and ran it through, and then now I realize how thick that metal is, and now I'm committed, and I have to make my hole, and I have to get that CGB in there, and I have to get um, the number 6 through there. I think it was I want to say it was like a number 6 insulated I had to get through there,
Mhm.
and it was funny. Bob just started laughing at me, and I did it. I was so proud of it. I was carrying that slug around forever, how thick that steel was, but like I was prepared, and it wasn't like I just drilled a hole in it and then had to put a bolt in it, and like abandon the hole. It was like, nope. Now, once I did it, I'm committed and we have to do it. And so that's kind of where this comes in with this set is you're not going to get left at the altar with this set. You're going to make sure you're going to go through stainless. You're going to go through whatever it takes. You're going to make it through with this set. So I liked it. I really liked it. I was really impressed and could not believe it was just laying out there in the trash like brand new. Somebody must have thought it was junk or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I was asking questions on it, because what it looked like to me, but also I was sort of curious in the price, because I like good bits.
Yeah, I would say that they're probably not gonna break the bank as far as like when you'll have like three different sections to choose from. You'll have the low range, you'll have the medium range, and then those would be in like the high range. And in the lower ranges, it's gonna be pretty close to the same price. You just get a lot more bits.
Yeah.
Like you could buy like a set that has 3 times that amount of bits in it for the same price. You're thinking, oh man, I got a good deal. But when it comes down to it, that all you really need is that smaller set with a really good bit that's gonna last you a lot of years. And it's funny, like I was telling Daniel this story. We were where I was at the plant one time and I was fabbing up this. We had to put a tray in for like these CTs because there was nothing factory that mounted these CTs. So what we did, we just took a piece of strut and we drilled out a piece of steel, and then I can't remember exactly how we had it set up. We had it to where the CTs we put them over the wire and the CTs just sat on that tray and it went across the gear. Mm-hmm. Then the CTs just slid over the wire and they just rested on that tray. We might have even bolted them up to that tray. I don't remember. But I was sitting there doing all that, and you're just doing a ton of drilling. I'm sitting there drilling for the CT mount. I'm drilling for it to mount here. And I was going through bits like crazy out there. And out there at the patch, it was really cool because they just got a trailer. And you go up and you're just like, give me 4 1/4-inch bits and 4 3/8 bits or whatever. And they're not the great quality ones. They're just regular, they're not cobalt, they're not carbide, they're not anything special. They're just a regular steel, hardened steel bit. And so I was sitting there drilling. It was like on a Sunday. We're doing 13 ones. So like 13 days on, 1 day off. And it was one of the Sundays where I had to work. So it was like a 7-day stretch. And I'm sitting there drilling and that drill bit's done. And I didn't care because I'm trying to get it, and so it's just squeaking really loud, and I was getting it through, but it was just squeaking. It sounded horrible. It was like lighting up the whole control building. And so this guy came over and he yelled at me, "How dare you, do that squeaking? We got a whole bunch of people in here. You need to get us earplugs and stuff." I was like, man. I was like, all right. And I was like, you know what? I need to go get drill bits anyway. Like, these bits are done. I was like, I can't just squeak these things through for all day, So I went over to the trailer and they gave you a little box and they got the earplugs in them, And I'm like, yeah, this should have an earplug station in here anyway, Like, we'll have to get one in here. So I go over there to the trailer. I get like new drill bits. I get the earplug things. And I come back over, get it. We have like a gator, so you're driving around like miles of this plant, doing all this stuff. And then I come back and, there's nobody in there. I'm like, oh man, those guys didn't even wait for me to get earplugs, So then I went and I hung the earplugs up on the ear station, and I go back over there and I'm just like, wow, this is awesome. I'm drilling all these holes and I'm just going through like butter. I'm like, oh man, like, why was I squeaking that thing, And so then that Monday comes through and we come back and it was just me by myself working there. And then I'm showing Cowboy. Cowboy's the guy who runs the plant. And I'm showing Cowboy. I'm like, yeah, this is what I done. Oh man, he goes, that looks really good. And he goes, hey, where's my line 6 crew or whatever? And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, I'm supposed to have a line 6 crew in here somewhere. And I was like, well, I kind of got yelled at for being too loud. Oh, that was freaking Roger. He always does that. And he goes, where's he at? And I was like, well, I don't know. I was like, I went to go get him earplugs, came back, and nobody was in here. He's like, oh man, those guys drug up, And so it was like so weird to me that on a Sunday where I never even saw those people before. They came out like first day to work or whatever, and then they just got mad because of me, I guess, squeaking the drill bit, and they just quit, and they all quit. I mean, it was a pretty good sized crew. It was like probably 8 or 9 people in there, and they just all drug up and quit and got mad because I was making too much noise in the control building or whatever, and so I was like, yeah, well, there you go. That's the importance of the drill bits. Make sure you got sharp drill bits because you might run a whole crew off from the freaking patch, And so I told Cowboy, yeah, sorry, I'm pretty sure they drug up because of me, but at least we have an earplug station in here now, so
that's not a reason to drag up. That's a bunch of
crap. Dude, it was funny. They were like the biggest. Like I was telling Daniel, there was the biggest crybabies out there. Like one time we were sitting there, we were mounting this tray, we're sitting there drilling, we're drilling all this metal, we're drilling all this steel, and we're bolting all these tray bolts in, and we're doing all this stuff, and all of a sudden this gal come up, she's like, you're getting metal all over my gang box, and I'm like, what? Like, you're on an industrial site, like, move it over there, like, why is it even here? Like, this is where we're working, like, like, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, and it was funny because it's a small world when you're out in the field in the trade like that. And they're, oh yeah, that girl, she always complains. Every place she goes, she complains about something, And it's just, it's fun to be out in the patch like that and doing it. But I just couldn't believe it. We're sitting there just going to town. We got the tray up there. We're holding it. We're doing all this stuff by ourselves. And all of a sudden, she's like, you're getting metal flakes on my game box. Like, so? Like that make it cooler. Want us to stand on it and get the metal flakes rubbed in there real good because they'll look good on there, Like, I just couldn't believe how many little crybabies you had out there. It's like supposed to be the toughest electricians out there in the whole, U.S. and they just constantly complaining about something. But it's a lot of fun. So what do we got? Man versus machine. Am I gonna try to get you this week?
Yeah, man versus machine. Let's roll it up and see what you got.
For years, man tried to create artificial intelligence. On this segment, we find out, is AI smarter than King James?
Yeah, Daniel's 100% right on this. No whining in the patch, man. If it's too cold, they're sending you home. You're going to be the first person packing.
That's funny. All right. So
I might be trying to get you on this one a little. We'll see.
You ain't going to get me on this one. I hate to tell you. It's 12 foot. And that's 680 22 B1 or 2. I think it's B1, but I'm going 12 foot. So let's see what AI has to say.
I tried to get a little code change in there. I figured you might have it in your code change.
I can tell you I'm right on this one. I'm not even worrying about it. All right.
I'm hoping to get open AI on this one. We'll see.
We'll give it a shot and see. All right. Hit it. Let's see what it says. 12 feet. And yeah, it didn't give a section. Let me go over here. God, I got to pull this up. I don't know why I didn't pull this up earlier. All right, let me go over to 680.
So I did get it. Yeah. I think you were correct on the section on that. And just so everyone knows, that was a code change. Festoon lighting was added to the 2026, which to me, I think is kind of weird. Cause
it was only added to the heading, and then they added it into the text. I knew this one because I think we covered it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's 68022B1. That is correct. All right, so let me tell Chat GPT. The answer is correct.
At least that's one thing that I could teach the kids is if you're using ChatGPT and they want you to give a section, then ChatGPT would have technically got this wrong just because you have the right answer. Then they say, all right, where did you find that? And I'm like, I don't know.
King James was correct on the answer and NEC section.
Nice.
All right, let's see what it says. Thank you for the correction. Yep, oh, it is. We've done it so much, it just went ahead and put it in the master log now.
All right, cool. Yeah, you've been teaching it really good. So
yeah, that's why I say you put certain things in, and it starts teaching itself what to do. I've stated that for a while. That's how you have to sort of, and honestly, I've been learning this as we've been doing it because it slowly but surely has gotten smarter in the things that it's doing, but you got to teach it, So,
well, I can guarantee you this week I made sure I didn't put no Argentine questions in there, no Argentina. There might be some underhanded Argentina ones in there, but I don't know. This one I try to be just a little bit harder, but I don't know. Like when I get too hard, then I even fool myself. I can't remember the answers, but
so this is going to be on the World Cup.
Yeah, so what they're going into now, I think it's maybe after tonight, because I think it's right after this show, I think it's U.S. Turkey. And I think after tonight, maybe tomorrow, everybody's going to the round of 32.
Yeah, they got I know, it's interesting because I don't know much about it, but I got the Yahoo Sports and I was checking and they had a thing up on the thing called Table. And I went over there and I saw the United States was already in. And I think they're waiting how certain things do. But I didn't realize that I think it's based on goals scored the way it looked to me. But then you got third place teams. And I did not know about third place teams. And I was looking at that, seeing and they had them with an X who had made it, but there's still some games to be played, but it's almost decided. And I did not know anything about that, but I saw it on Yahoo Sports. And then I went through checking the next games coming up, and I saw the United States was already in. So, and a few other.
Yeah, so we do have some third place team questions on the quiz.
Well, I don't know about the third, but I just know that they make it. So, all right, let's cue it up. Let's do it.
That's why nobody sees me with my shirt off at work, because I just don't want to embarrass people, But all right, so question number 1. In the round of 32 format, what is the most accurate statement? A, only group winners advance directly, no third place teams qualify. B, the round of 32 includes a mix of group winners, runner-ups, and best third place teams. C, all 32 teams are randomly drawn after the group stage ends. D, only the top 2 teams from each group qualify, making 24 teams total, and then the third place teams following. Or E, all the teams have been there before. Good luck, everyone. Do you do the music?
Do what?
Are you ready to do the music?
It's on.
Oh, it is? Can't hear it. That's weird. Huh. Alright,
Okay.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear
it's
it.
on.
That's weird.
Well, I'm gonna go with B from what I saw on my Yahoo Sports. So I'm going B.
You are correct. The answer is B. It is a mixed group of winners and runner-ups and best third place team.
What Daniel guess?
Daniel went with B. I'm
Okay.
messing it up. Yeah, it's weird. I didn't hear the music for some reason. I don't know what was. It was weird.
Huh.
Like, I don't know. All right. In a standard World Cup knockout bracket, which scenario is possible in the round of 32? A, 2 teams from the same group meeting again immediately. B, a rematch of the World Cup final from the previous tournament. C, a group winner playing a third place team from another group. D, teams choosing their own opponents based on ranking. Or E, a team's coach kicking the ball off to start the match. Good luck, everyone.
Okay. Okay.
Daniel is right away going A. 2 teams from the same group meeting again immediately.
Huh. Well, I know you've got like A, B, C, D, E, F groups. I saw that on the app. But it would seem to me that a group winner would be playing a third place team from another group. I don't think I'll go with C.
All right, King James going C, Daniel going A. Let's see what happens here. Answer is C, a group winner playing a third place team from another group.
That's right.
Got Daniel on one, switching him around a little bit.
Right.
So King James takes the lead. Question number 3. Which of the following best describes how round 32 pairings are usually determined? A, FIFA uses a live public vote to assign matchups. B, matchups are pre-seeded based on group finishing positions and a fixed bracket path. C, teams are sorted alphabetically and paired A versus B, C versus D, etc. D, the highest ranked teams always play the lowest ranked teams globally. Or E, it's just a random selection. Good luck, everyone. All right, Daniel is taking D right out of the gate. Comes off with the highest ranked teams always play the lowest ranked teams globally.
I got a question on that because I was thinking D, but I want to ask a question on that. Is is that the highest ranked team after they play what they've already done, and then you play the lowest ranked team, or is this before they came to the tournament?
This is after this is when you go to the
World Cup and you've played, and
this is when you get to the 32 round of 32.
okay, I'll take
So
D. Okay, I'll go D.
You're gonna go D.
Yeah.
So you're copying Daniel.
Yeah.
You were both wrong. It actually is B. Matchups are pre-selected based on your group finishing positions and a fixed bracket path. So
they're already set up to play another group based on that.
So matchups are pre-seeded based on group finishing. So like it's how you finish. So like if say one group they finish first and the other one finishes third, then that's how your bracket path is. It's fixed path. Okay. So now third plays the first of the other group and first plays the third of another group or whatever it is.
Okay.
So question number 4, which statement about third place teams in the round of 32 is correct? All third place teams are eliminated automatically. B, all third place teams advance to the round of 32 regardless of record. C, only a set number of best third place teams across groups qualify. D, third place teams only enter if group winners withdraw. Or E, third place teams are rare. Good luck, everyone.
I'm going to go with C.
All right. So it looks like you're going to copy Daniel. Daniel gets a couple extra points. He was about 30 seconds faster than you. You were both correct. So King James carrying the lead into the question number 5. So what is the most common structural failure of World Cup knockout bracket after the round of 32 begins? A, teams are redrawn each round randomly. B, the bracket becomes fixed, meaning teams follow a set path to the final. C, losing teams enter a second chance losers bracket. D, consolidate. Is that?
Confederation based. Yeah.
Oh yeah, confederation based separation continues indefinitely. Or E, King James realizes he doesn't know anything about World Cup.
It's gotta be.
Good luck, everyone.
That's so.
I was like a structural feature. I was like, structural failure? Like what?
Well, my whole thing is from what you did in question 2, it's fixed. So there's a set path to the final apparently. So I'll go B.
All right. So Daniel goes B, copies King James. King James takes the win, so King James takes back the title from Daniel, and
well, I'm only up one. He's got a chance. I got 4 of 5. He got 3 of 5.
All right, so let me see a tiebreaker question really quick. I gotta kind of do them live because, like, if I do them out front, for some reason I get them wrong. What I'm gonna ask is how many um, third place teams have won the World Cup?
Wow, that's a uh I will I honestly have no idea on this, but how many they've been playing since the 30s, right?
Yeah, third. Yeah,
So
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I will say you probably had, I'll say seven. Hell, I have no idea. I'll just say seven in that long a time. Seven sounds like a good number.
Well, it looks like they win. No third place team has ever won the third World Cup.
Really?
Daniel
I did
gets
not
it.
know. I figured at least a couple of them had done it.
Oh
That
man,
would
you
be
gave
huge.
Daniel the chance to take back the crown. So, man, now Daniel's little title. I was saying that Daniel's on Facebook saying Willie Quiz champ. So
It
you can
sort
go
of
put it.
sucks that I get no credit for ties.
Yeah. Oh, you get credit. I was trying to give you the win, but you wanted.
I've had more ties than wins.
Yeah, true. That's true. You have had some pretty good outright wins that were pretty impressive. And, like, dude, sometimes I just can't fool you. I'm like, man, I was like, how do you know this much?
Hey,
And
I
me and,
got 4 or 5 on World Cup tonight. I don't know shit about. I
yeah.
just guessed and got it right.
No, good job, both you guys. You know, Daniel went 3 of 5 and then got the tiebreaker. And that's what's so cool. It's so much fun doing it. I still couldn't believe when I saw that jet coming in and it had the number 15 on that tail fin, Air Canada. I'm like, man, what player is that? You know, I was like, man, I was like, man, it's got to be a hockey player. You know, I was like, I got to go home and figure out who that was. And Daniel knew it.
I
Daniel
did.
knew. That was Air, what was it? What was it? Air Carter.
Yeah,
It was
Vince Carter.
Vince Carter, Air Carter out of Canada. So that was pretty cool. All right, so we're gonna go to the Wall of Shame. You're gonna love this, dude. So everyone knows I talk about no band offsets all the time. There's some no band offsets in here. I think you'll enjoy this one.
Right.
And I appreciate the post on Wall of Shame.
Here we go.
Shame. 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 Shame.
Big cheers to Adam. Thanks so much for the intro. And go check out Adam over there at Team SOS podcast.
Oh yeah, yeah. He just
That is the legendary no band offset.
wow.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah, he just forced them in there, and that's it. God dang.
Yeah,
That's pretty bad.
yeah. So, thanks so much for Jake Young posting that in the Wall of Shame. Appreciate it. Your photo won this week, and so we appreciate it. And
No
like I
band
say,
offset, baby.
yep, no band offset, the legendary. Really appreciate all the participation. I had a great week. So much fun. Thanks so much, King James, putting together awesome myth of the week. You always come up with really awesome information. You cover the code as a whole, and I don't hear any arguments in the chat this week. So must have got it right this time.
He must have drank too much and passed out before he came on tonight.
He probably did too much pregame. But
let's wrap this up. I want to go watch the USA soccer team play. They start here in 10 minutes.
Yep, sounds good. Well, I appreciate everyone joining, and as always, remember, make every day an easy day.
See everybody next Thursday. Y'all have a good weekend. Enjoy.